And we are in chapter 2. Just a quick reminder, please make sure that you're reading chapters 1, 2, and 7 for this week. Chapters 1, 2, and 7. Does anybody not know how to access the reading? I know we may have some new people on here. To that point, just a quick recap. If you are just joining us, you weren't able to join on Monday or Tuesday, please go back to the homepage of your course and scroll down to two gray buttons. One says live session and the other one is past live sessions. So if you are on here, you either went to the home page and you clicked on live session, or you went to the modules and you clicked on live session. If you went to the modules and you clicked on live session, right below that link is another link to the past recordings. It's very important that you watch day 1 and day 2 because it sets the foundation for this entire class. I've already gotten a few questions, and most of them were covered in day 1 and day 2. So if you watch the video, then all of those questions will be answered. Secondly, hold on, I'm just letting these guys in. Actually, I forgot what my secondly was. Uh-oh. Every time I forget something, I feel like I'm getting old. I forgot what I was about to say. Anyway, so make sure that you are watching those videos. I forgot what else I was going to say. I'm sure it'll come back to me. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. Please make sure that you are doing your participation question by 12:30. I want to make sure everybody's getting credit for that. On Monday, I did leave it open a little longer because I know Monday is hectic, but we should all know what we're doing by now. So please make sure you're getting that done. How did yesterday go with your career plan goals part 1? Was that anybody have any questions about that? Went okay? Yeah. Let me tell you, thinking about your future is not a small feat. Let me tell you, it takes courage. I don't even want to sound cheesy, but it takes courage. You know why? Because now you have to commit to it. It's so easy. And I am well, do I want to call myself that? Yes, I think I'll say I am a serial learner. I'm a serial lifelong learner. I had to say that out loud just to accept it. I have been in school since I was 19. I have been in school, guys, since I was 19. And I'm very, very old right now. How many years is that? I can't even count. And sometimes I think, Cynthia, why are you just afraid to just pull the trigger on one thing? And I think that that could be me a little bit. I'm going to stand up and admit to that. I have a tendency to say, okay, well, let me also do this, and let me also do this, and let me also do that. Okay, thank you for that support. Thank you for the heart. I needed it. And sometimes you just have to pull I tend to take the safe. I don't know if I take the safe route. Maybe I'm not giving myself enough credit. Like I've done a lot of things in life. I don't know if that's true if I take the safe route, but maybe I'm just willing to try too many different things. Who knows? But at the end of the day, at some point, you have to commit. You have to commit. And part of that commitment is creating a plan and setting a date. How did you feel when you created that long-term goal and you set a date? Be honest, how many people got a little bit of anxiety when they did that? It's like, okay, now I got to do it. Listen, it is human. See, it's so human to do that, right? Because now it's like, Oh, shoot, I only got 5 years to get this done, right? But let me ask you, that sense of urgency made you more focused. Did it make you more focused when you put that date on it? Did you start to feel like, okay, I gotta stop thinking about other stuff. Let me zero in on this. And that's the point. That's the goal. Listen, my friends, they say that there is no secret to success. When you look around you and you see, oh, look at these people being successful, whether they cheat their way through it, we know there's always those types. Hey, at least they're committed to the cheating process, huh? But one thing that they do that others don't is commitment. Anybody that is, into fitness, any fitness buffs, anybody really into, hitting the gym and working out, staying healthy, let me tell you something. That requires commitment. Does it not? It requires commitment. As soon as I get off of here, I'm going straight to the gym. I gotta work. I gotta listen. It's commitment. And it's not something that you always want to do, right? I don't want to go. I don't want to get on that treadmill after dinner. I don't want to do it. But it's part of the process. It's part of the process. You want the results, you got to go through the process. When you commit to something, when you make that goal, now you have to follow through because it is the one surefire way of you may not get everything that you want, but you will get some things that you want. So, just understand that that first step to saying, this is what I want to do by this date, that is, you are already ahead of the curve for most people. Most people never do that. Most people stay with that dream. I want to be happy one day. I want to be successful one day. I want to be just like Tom. I want to be just like Harry, but they never take that next step to do it. Do you guys want to hear something very sombering? Most people will never, ever, the majority of people, statistically speaking, I invite you to do your research. Statistically speaking, and I don't care how they skew the statistics, let me help you out on something. If you were to get rid of the top 5% of earners, those billionaires, those multi-millionaires, the average American citizen doesn't even make $100,000 a year. And you may say, well, what's the problem with that? Nothing. But most people dream of being wealthy. Is that not true? Give me a thumbs up if you think that's true. Most people dream of being wealthy. They look at television, they look at all these successful people, but the average American citizen will never, ever see that type of wealth. Why do you think that is? Are they just not capable? Bernard, you want to say something? Or you're just agreeing? I'm not sure. Your hand is up. See how Bernard is confusing me? Yeah, see, that's why I gave my disclaimer because now I'm going to be paranoid about Bernard's hand up. All right. So, what is the difference between those that take it to that next level? Commitment. Put it on paper, set the plan, and go after it. But that takes commitment. So we're going to commit to doing whatever we put on that paper, and I'll see over the next couple of days what you guys put down. We're going to commit to that. So now that we've committed to that goal, we have to start to think about what do we have, right? So it's kind of like when you decide what you're going to eat for dinner. Now, what do you have to do? You got to figure out what ingredients that you have. Do I have what it takes to make that dinner, right? So we got to figure out, okay, do we have what it takes? The one thing that we did was we took that self-assessment yesterday. How'd you guys feel about that? Yeah? Anybody feel like it was right on the money? That's good. Don't shy away from it, right? Don't shy away from it because it's all good intel. It's all good intel. It's just like looking in the refrigerator to say, do I have the ingredients for this dinner? You need the intel because where there's a gap, now you know what you need to fix. Um, if the self-assessment said to you, hey, you're on the right track, if you said, oh, I think I'm a leader, or I think I could be an entrepreneur, or I need to be in the field where I use my hands, and it is ringing true for where you are, that's great. Write down those skills that it says that you have. In chapter 2, we're going to continue this conversation about these skills. Yesterday, we introduced two types of skills. Anybody remember what those two types of skills were? Somebody tell me. There are two buckets.
Soft skills and hard skills.
Soft skills and hard skills. Can somebody tell me what the difference is between those two?
Hard
What's the
skills
hard?
are hard skills are related to the career field, where soft skills are more personality and are transferable in different fields.
That is perfect. That is absolutely right. So that is absolutely right. So our hard skills, that's what you're in school for now, right? Most of your technical classes are so you can learn the trade, right? Your soft skills are things that any company may want, whether you have a good time management, you're flexible, believe it, patience is a soft skill. Maybe you know that to be true. These are transferable skills, even good time management, because that parlays into leadership, right? All those skills are going to be needed for leadership. And what you'll learn in your career is that as you start to go up, when you look at those job descriptions, you're going to see less of the hard skill and more of the soft skill. That makes sense, right? Because what are you doing when you start to move up? You're not doing the work, you're managing the people. And I think we can all agree you need as many soft skills as possible to manage people, right? So it's important for you to pay attention to that. If you don't think it's true, do some Google searches on like a manager of this, a manager of that, and see what those skills that they're looking for. They're like, yeah, 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 yeah. We know we want you to know how to do that stuff, but we really do need you to know how to manage people, how to do project management, how to work with a team, right? You need those skills mostly. So these skills will shift as you move up the ladder. Now, chapter 2 even takes a step back and say, well, you need some basic skills. And we all know that, even though common sense is not always common, but I think we can all agree that you're going to need to know how to read and write and do basic math, right? That is important. Yes, high school was important, guys. People expect you to learn how to do that. And as we get into maybe think it's week three for sure, we're going to talk about using basic technology and writing, a simple letter or supply document or an invoice. You need to know how to do those things. People just expect you to know how to do it. The nerve, right? The nerve. They expect you to know how to do those things. They expect you to have basic technology skills, like we said the other day. They expect you to have it, especially if you're graduating from any type of advanced degree. People expect you to have basic technology skills. We know that they want us to have our hard skills, also known as technical skills. But let's dig in a little bit more into these soft skills. Like, what is this really? And I really want you to pay attention to this because this is something that shows up a lot on your midterm. Understanding what soft skills are. Now, in the book, your book will identify them as various things. They're also known as employability skills. Let's think about it. We all have had someone that we worked with that we said, man, if you didn't know what you were doing, I wouldn't even understand why you're here. Anybody know anybody like that? It's okay. They're not here. We could talk about them. We all have somebody that we know that is like, I need this job. I need this job, right? And you don't know how they got the job and why they're still here, you know, because they lack certain skills, right? But so these soft skills they're very, very broad. It includes, what makes you employable, basic foundational skills. We'll get into these workplace skills and what that means, and things that you can transfer. If you are a manager at a company, let's say you ran a team before, that's one of the reasons why military people are so revered, because when you're in the military, you go through so much. Where are my veterans at? Any veterans in the building? You go through so much. They do, yeah, they do us so dirty. Y'all don't even know what we go through. Right? By the time you get out of the military, they can put you anywhere. This man, you can put me in the front, the back, the side, wherever you want to put me, because we learn how to adapt. Is that not true, my veterans? You just know how to adapt. So we have these great transferable skills that people just love. People love it. I remember when I first got in the military 20 years ago. Um, you tell somebody you're in the military, they say, okay, I want you to do this. I'm like, okay. They're like, okay, but I also want you to do that. I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. I said, but we need to do that. We're like, yeah, okay, man. I don't care. Like, whatever you want me to do. You paying me to do it, I'll do it, right? And it's a skill set that people love. And I don't know if it's just because us military folk, you just get used to just taking orders, and that I won't say doing, it's not that you're doing what you're told blindly, but it's like you just get used to adapting, right? Adaptability is really big in the military. So it's a huge transferable skills that people just tend to really like, that sometimes it separates you from civilians, because civilians, they're going to ask questions, as you should, right? A lot of military people like, okay, where are we going today? Just tell me what to do. um but these skills, they're so big that they fall within different categories. Thinking skills, critical thinking skills, problem solving, people skills, like I just talked about, and more importantly, your own personal qualities. And we'll dig into what that means in a couple of weeks when we talk about your own personal qualities. So think about those soft skills, and think about, like we started yesterday, where your skills are. Maybe you have some skills that can be beneficial in your industry. So as you continue to do your research, guys, continue to do your research on your industry, and really figure out, especially for those of you that still don't quite know, right? I know you may have given me a long-term goal, or maybe you haven't given it yet, and you're really trying to figure out, what lane do I want to go in? Um, do I have the skill set? Somebody who wants to volunteer, maybe you've done a little bit of research on your industry, and you want to, maybe give us a little brief, you know, uh, backstory or history, or what you can do in your field. Anybody has done a little bit of research in their field and want to share with us, maybe HVAC welder, VA, anybody? I want to use it as an example. Who wants to share? Let's say maybe you're in electrical and you already know, or maybe you're in HVAC. You can say, I can do refrigeration, I can do, uh, big commercial, I could do this. Anybody ever done any research on their industry to know the different lanes you could go in? Go ahead, Caitlin. Thank you.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. So I'm in the vet med program.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done quite a bit of research regarding it. There is a few lanes that you can go, like, because there's animal care jobs as well as like kennel technicians. You don't have to
Mm,
be a vet assistant. There is a lot of jobs that are pertaining to the animal field that you have that experience.
mm-hmm.
Um, So, and there's people that specialize in different kind of things. Like they go to a specialist. I mean, that takes a while to get there, but you can get into a specialist field like um oncology, or like the I forget which one's the bone doctor, but they
Mm,
specialize in surgery. So,
mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a bunch of different like things for the vet field.
See, my little nerdy self, I would want to go straight to the research. Let me I like to discover. Like, let me figure out why the reptiles in Florida tend to change colors and what we can do. Maybe it's the algae in the water. Like, I'm such a nerd, guys. That would be me for sure. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, you guys see how that's vast. I know prior to today, and thank you, Caitlin. I didn't know that about the veterinary assisting field, how you can do that, right? Had you got to do that research, guys, to figure out what lane you want to be in and how you can align the skills that you currently have so you can figure out ones that you don't have. Another reason that it is important is because when you start to look for jobs, those job descriptions, and we're going to see that tomorrow, are going to have skills that they want you to have. And you have to pay attention to what those skills say, because that is what they want you to bring to the table. Once you get into your jobs, once you get into your career, your first job, there are going to be a lot of do's and don'ts, right? And so this is something else that you want to consider when you're starting a job. One of them is called workplace ethics. What is this? This has everything to do with the principles and more and the beliefs that directs behavior. We know what ethics is. Hopefully we all have some that we live by. But when you get into a company, they're also going to have this appropriate behavior that you want to adhere to, you want to think about, and you even want to think about, okay, do I even want to be in this type of environment? Right? Think about, going back to Caitlin, I don't know about you, but I know for me, I probably could never work at a pet shelter. I can't do it. First of all, I'll be trying to take all the pet. Listen, y'all just pray for me. I just would want to sleep there with the animals. None of the animals can die on my watch. Like, I would be horrible at it. I'd be buying them toys and Christmas gifts. Horrible, horrible, horrible. But listen, I taught middle school for like 2 years when I first moved from Jersey to Florida, because I was thinking, oh, let me try middle school. That didn't work very long, child. Yeah, I ran right back to college, but because I was thinking, okay, I could teach these kids, computers. Yeah, I was teaching computer science. Man, I spent so much money on those children. I spent all my paycheck on those kids. I'm giving pizza parties. I'm making snack bags. Those kids love me. Oh my God, it broke my heart when I left, but they was crazy too. I almost broke my wrist breaking up fights and all kinds of stuff. Y'all don't even know. But I just know I couldn't do it. But you got to know where you can be in certain environments, right? So when you get into these companies, they're gonna tell you what the rules are. Trust me, trust me. Like, I go back to the military because it was so poignant. We in the Army, we used to have to carry our little code in our left pocket, right? You have to know those codes and values at all times, right? And they can stop and ask you, what is our code of conduct, right? What is that all about? In your work environment, they are also going to have these codes of conduct and codes of ethics. Make sure you know the difference between the two. What is a code of conduct? This has everything to do with how employees are to behave while they're at work. How you are to behave while you're at work. That's a big thing, right? I know we shouldn't have to tell people how to behave. Can you imagine that you have to do that? How you behave at work. And then there's a code of ethics. This has everything to do with how you do your job, right? Especially when you're dealing with, residential people or customers. How you do your job is code of ethics. If they say there's 12 steps to doing this process, don't skip the steps. If they say, only give this type of medication to this animal, or make sure that you do a safety check after each blah blah blah, that's code of ethics, doing the job exactly as they say you're supposed to do it. We all hear stories about people that don't do their job according to what's right? We all hear those stories, especially in the construction field. We don't need to go down that road. So why is this critically important? Because let me tell you, my friends, some things are unethical, some things are illegal. Clutch my pearls. What is this teacher telling me? I can actually get criminally charged by doing some stuff at my job. Yeah, you better know it. Welcome to the big leads. Oh, they probably didn't tell you that part, so let me go ahead and tell you. When you get an advanced degree, you become a subject matter expert. Do you know that more money, more problems? Did y'all not listen to the rapper? What's his name? Biggie Smalls back in the day. He said more money, more problems, right? Well, absolutely. More money, more problems because you have more responsibility. And so you're going to have more codes of ethics on your shoulder. And you need to be very, very, very careful, my friends. And you need to know the law about what you can and cannot do. Some things that you do could get you put in jail. Does anybody know what's one illegal activity that you cannot do in your respective fields? Anybody want to share? The VA team, y'all's are obvious. Anybody know one thing that can get you in trouble? VA, what's one thing that can get you in trouble illegally? One of my VA people tell me. Or what do y'all think can get them in trouble? Probably that medicine, right? That medicine. Do y'all know people steal pet medicine? Do y'all know? Did they talk about that, Caitlin? You would that is illegal, right?
I feel like hello.
Go ahead.
It's kind of hard for welding, to be honest with you, because I don't think I've seen anything that has to do
Would be
with
illegal.
it being illegal exactly. It's more
Mhm.
of a lot of stuff for welders is OSHA related. I don't
Oh
think
yeah,
I've
you
seen
definitely.
anything probably stealing material from what I've seen. I've tried searching it up. I don't think I've seen anything that's too egregious, but it's probably a lot of it's related to OSHA stuff from what I've seen, not following proper
Mm-hmm.
PPE
Mm-hmm.
or basically causing something that can cause hazardous work environment for your fellow welders when you're
Well,
there,
if you
like
do that
probably
on
triggering them to turn
purpose,
off the
let me tell
gas.
you something, my friend.
That too, yeah.
That's illegal. That's
There you
also
go. That's
illegal.
the only thing I can think of too. I'm not sure. I'm not
Anything
sure if
that
you
can
like
put
getting
people in
blown up.
harm's
That's the other
way,
issue.
that's a whole other issue, right? Yeah, I'm telling you, y'all, I know it's a fine line. That's why I'm bringing it up. You gotta do your research. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Yeah, you were talking about how some VA people
Mm-hmm.
can steal medication. Um, yeah, that does happen, and some people do abuse that medication. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
bells and whistles for it. Like there's a log. So if you drop one, you have to log it. If you take
Yeah,
one,
that's
it's
right.
more.
One little pill. I mean, they even do that for humans. Oh, where's that aspirin?
Yeah,
It fell
yeah,
into my purse. So you gotta be careful with everything, right?
yeah.
So, on the screen, we have two obvious ones, discrimination and harassment. You may be shocked to know that these are not just unethical, meaning that your company may say, "Hey, my friends, don't do anything discriminatory or harassing. You can lose your job." But did you also know that they're illegal? You mean to tell me I can lose my job and end up in court? Yes, ma'am. You got to know the law, especially when it comes to your respective fields, my friend. A lot of people, they don't talk about white collar crime enough, but that's a good, yeah, that thing does exist. Have you guys ever heard of it? White collar crime, that's mean when you're committing crimes, in your respective fields. They always talk about, that other street crime, but there's a lot of corporate crime that happens. Yeah, they probably put it on Law and Order and stuff like that, right? All right. So let's shift from that. So now we know the teacher's already, now she's being too serious. Let's talk too about being online. And I know some of you may say, well, I'm in trades. I'm not going to be online. Well, no, no, no. You're going to be online one way or the other. Whether it's promoting yourself or you got to do something for your job, especially if you're submitting reports and all that kind of stuff. So while you're online, regardless of why you're there, let me tell you this. Once you sign a contract with a company, now this may become as a shocker, but you are considered an agent of the institution. What does that mean? That means once you put on that uniform, you are an extension of that company. Everything you do or say can be a reflection on that company, even things that you say online. Clutching my pearls. Anybody seen anybody lose their job because of something they did online? Give me a thumb. We see it in the news
Yes.
all the time. You see it in the news all the time, right? Why is that a big deal? Well, firstly, when you sign that contract, you probably did not read that handbook that we're going to talk about. That handbook is your contract, my friends. And it probably has said something along the lines of your behavior and how you will behave if you decide to be an agent of their institution. It's just like playing sports. Anybody ever played sports before? When you put on that uniform, don't you have a social code, right? So imagine when you put on the company uniform, you got a code. So you have to exercise good digital citizenship. Everything you do or say, if they wanted to, can be found on the internet. Y'all do know that, right? Anything that you put on the internet, I got my own personal page. No, you don't. You have a page that is that is being managed by a company, i.e. Meta or whomever, Google or somebody. So it's not your personal page. Have y'all not seen the drama that's happening with Chat GPT? As soon as they sold their soul to the government, everybody left because now the government says, well, I can have access to all this material. Ooh, look at me. You know, not
Yeah,
that
then it
they
turned
already
around.
listen, they already got our social security number and everything else. Now everything you post, they can have access to. Can you imagine? Yeah, it's a real deal. So everything you do online, once it's posted, it's somewhere. It's somewhere. You need to exercise good digital citizenship. Be very mindful of what you're putting online because digital footprint means that like little breadcrumbs, when you say something online, if you got those Twitter fingers, that's what we used to call it before X came. I don't know what they call it now. You got to be careful. Maybe the type of person like to get online and fuss over the, soccer scores. You got to really start to think about, okay, I don't want to do or say anything that can come back to haunt me. Believe it or not, there are companies that do backgrounds on you to see if you have done something that could, you know, hurt their reputation. That's a real deal. That's a real thing, guys. All right. Something else that you may come across is where, when we talk about technology, there are companies that have most of their stuff on the cloud. And that basically means nowadays, especially if you're going to be traveling, who knows they're going to be in a job where you have to travel. Maybe you got to go see clients. I don't care if it's like just local traveling or on the road, different projects. Okay. So a lot of times when you have to do those type of jobs, they're probably going to give you some type of computer or some type of, iPad. And a lot of times when you have these types of jobs, they keep a lot of their stuff on what we call a cloud server. It's called remote. So it's like right now we're using a cloud server to be on Microsoft Teams, right? It's on the cloud, right? We're not all sitting in one office building where all the computers are connected. They're all connected through a network. So with that being said, you just need to understand that fact and understand that you have to be mindful of how you're using these people's uh, software, what you putting on your device. I've already said anything you do or say, even if it's on your company's equipment, can follow you. So y'all already know what I'm talking about, right? So make sure you don't don't do anything on these people's computers. I've seen people get fired left and right behind it. Don't download stuff you're not supposed to. Don't upload anything you're not supposed to. Abide by their rules. I had a situation where I was investigated, y'all. Let me tell you what happened. I know, even me. Let me tell you what happened. So when I was at this one college years ago, I was a tax specialist, and everybody knew I did taxes. And so, of course, I had one or two professors that was like, "Girl, can you do my taxes?" I was like, "Okay, whatever." I did their taxes. She printed out the taxes on the job, didn't think anything of it. So I ended up working full time at this university, and they gave me a laptop. And just so happens that professor lived across the street from the school. And so she emailed me her tax return, and she said, "Can you print this out for me? I'm going to run across the street and pick it up." I didn't think anything of it. Fast forward maybe 6, 7 months later, I turned my laptop in to get updated. Well, one of the rules was, for privacy reasons, you can't have access to other employees' personal information. My laptop got flagged for having her information on it. Do you know they did a whole investigation? They thought I stole this lady's social security number. They called her. They did a whole investigation behind my back, thinking that somehow I had her social security number. I don't know. And whatever reason, now I was really upset. Obviously, when I found out about it, I was mad. And the HR guy, he used to be a ex cop too, so I think he was just really taking it too serious. But once we, it all got squashed. But I was like, taken aback. I didn't do anything wrong, but whatever. It's just because my laptop had her social security number on it. So something that simple. So you never ever know. So you just have to be really, really careful, right? Um, if your institution has any type of what we call intellectual property, some of you may be working for companies that are doing major bids, they may be doing contracts with the government or something like that. And, they may have some type of secret for whatever reason. You never know. Obviously you want to make sure that you maintain that privacy. Don't download anything. Don't print out anything. Like, just don't, right? Just don't. You never, never know. You just don't ever want to fall into a situation where you, could be accused of doing something that you're not supposed to do, right? So anyway, obviously, not to do that. This is more corporate type stuff, for those that, it could happen in trades too, you never know. But one company, you go from one company, maybe you're going to go to another one, and then you tell them what the other company's doing, that type of stuff. You do want to practice, like I said, good etiquette, though. We call it netiquette. When you are communicating electronically, you have to be mindful of how you speak, what you say, being courteous, especially to customers, to coworkers, to everybody. Y'all know people save emails. Do y'all know that's a thing, that people will save emails and use it against you? Anybody ever heard of that before? Yes, you have to be mindful. Sometimes we don't always know how we come across online. I know this may seem like, oh, this is not me, but let me tell you, people lose their jobs not because of their hard skills, because of their soft skills. Very few people lose their jobs, guys, because they don't know how to do their job. Most people lose their job because of some soft skill deficit. Do you believe that to be true? And a lot of it has to do with miscommunication. Miscommunication is a killer. It is a killer. I've seen so many people, big, high-ranking people, lose their jobs. I was working at a university, and I'm telling you, this broke my heart for this guy. He moved from California all the way across the country to take this job. And dude was like, and I called him dude because he sounded very Californian. He did not have good communication skills. Horrible. And dude lost his job after having moved. I think he had only been at that university for less than 3 months. And I want you to think about that. Like, you pick up and move from across the country. You packed your bags, all your stuff, sold all your stuff, and you lose your job. Can you imagine? Man, I was afraid the man was going to go berserk, to be honest with you. And it all had to do with him having very poor, communication skills. His communication style was horrible. And he was a coworker of mine. I was like, oh, this is not going to go over well. I just saw it happening in real time. And even though he and I we didn't really get along or not get along, but I felt sorry for Guy. So when I tell you, you need to be careful how you communicate, um, especially online. We've all had these, communication, whether it's, via email, something as simple as that, or, communicating with, a client that, things can go bad. I actually had a bad experience when I worked in real estate briefly. I worked for a builder, and, apparently, I didn't know this, and this is a little bit of nepotism happening. My boss's spouse sold some of the homes that I was selling, and I had to call this person, not knowing that it was the boss's spouse, because they were late doing something. And they did not like the way I communicated to them, even though I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, but I was fresh out of the military. So military people know I was probably straight to the point. They told on me. I got myself in trouble. I got myself in trouble twice. So I guess the bad side of the good side of hiring a military person is we're very strict. We're very directed to the point. The bad side is we're very directed to the point. When I first got out of the military, I went to go work for a nonprofit, and I worked in accounting. I was the accounting specialist, and people had to come for me for petty cash. Anybody knows what that is? It's like when you have to get money to go do little stuff, right? And I thought I was being very, very efficient until I got my first performance evaluation. And the person said they wrote, because they do peer evaluations, and they wrote that Cynthia is very efficient at her job, but she is too curt. I'm like, what does that mean? I had to look it up. It traumatized me. It was it said too straight and to the point. I'm like, that's a good thing. My military people will agree with me. What are you talking about, lady? I'm supposed to be straight and to the point. Apparently, not in civilian life. You got to be friendly and bubbly. Ah, man, oh my God, I had so much trouble. Y'all don't even want to know. The Cynthia Taylor that you get today is not the Cynthia Taylor that left the army. Let me just put it to you that way. They was like, you're supposed to say good morning and greet people and be nice. I'm like, what? I thought I'm here to do a job. Anyway, so I had to learn. I had to learn, right? So the rules of etiquette online is remembering everybody's a human. Yeah, whatever. Following the standards, knowing where you are in cyberspace, respecting other people. Obviously, all these different things that we know when you're in person, but we also know that people abuse it. Like y'all hear about all these crazy stuff that happens online. And in week 4, I'll talk about how you can actually get yourself in trouble with some of that stuff. If you do something inappropriate online. All right, so that's it for today, my friends. So that's all chapter 2 is talking about, just really getting your head in the game, getting you to understand that part of starting your career is not just about those technical skills. I know that you've been in technical classes 90% of the time, and so now here comes Miss Taylor, talking about all this soft skills stuff, but soft skills is what's going to make or break your career, let me just tell you. All right, so to that point, what are we going to have you doing in this class? We're going to have you engaging with career services, because they're the ones that are going to prep you and get you ready for that first job if you don't have it yet. And you need to talk to them. You need to, they're going to tell you a little bit more about your career. You're going to do this mock interview with them. They're going to help you write your resume. And so what we want you to do is we want you to get ready for that by going ahead and signing up to meet with them. So I'm going to walk you through very quickly how to sign up if you don't know how to yet for this. You got to do 2 of them too. You got to do one contact with them for your resume and one for your mock interview. If you look at the assignment, it's going to tell you want to schedule your resume review for next week. Then you want to schedule your mock interview, practice interview with them for week 3. So if you go into the assignment, right? If I go to the assignment, I'm going to scroll down and go to the assignment. Go to, today's Wednesday, scheduling with career services. It says here that, hopefully I did it right, next week, the 9th through the 13th, you're going to schedule your resume. And then you're going to do another scheduling for week 3, the 16th through the 20th, for your mock interview. Now, pay close attention to this next fact. Each campus has their own rules for how you schedule. So I've identified, and make sure you reach out to your campus just in case my stuff is outdated, but I'm pretty sure, I think it's up to date, what you're supposed to do. For example, if you're in Brandon, give me a thumbs up if you're in Brandon. You are going to come right here and you're going to click on Brandon. So when you go to this assignment, click there for Brandon. And then you are going to do this 2 times. The first time you're going to do it for resume writing. You're going to click right here. It says click here for resume writing. And Ms. Taylor said to do it for next week. So I'm going to, when this schedule thing comes up, uh-oh, Brandon. Uh-oh, so I'm going on with Brandon, guys. Y'all see? Okay, call Brandon campus. This is weird. Hold on, did I even choose a time? What are you talking? No, I haven't. That's weird. Brandon, y'all see that, right? I didn't do anything. Let me, that's never happened. So call Brandon and see what's going on with that. Let me try Orlando. So if you're in Sanford, really quickly, you guys, they just want you to call. Sanford sure is pretty simple. Any Sanford people? Should have quite a few. There's that number. Call them. And you can also use these other 2 numbers out here at the bottom. And they'll give you, they need to give you 2 dates. One for resume, one for mock interview. Your grade is determined by you coming back to this assignment and giving me 2 dates. If you give me 1 date, I'm gonna send it back. I need 2 dates. Unless they tell you you're doing it on the same day for both, I need you make sure you put that there. 2 dates. I don't care if you already have a resume. You still need to set it up because they're gonna have to sign off on it that you have it. 2 dates. I need 2 dates. Even if they end up just telling you, hey, send it to me email. I don't care. Give me 2 dates. Put it in this assignment. That's how you get your grade. If you're Orlando, let's click Orlando's to see if theirs is working. All right. Resume writing. Here, pay attention to what program you're in, Orlando. If you're in the VA program, you're going to do it with Michelle. If you're in welding or electrical, you're going to do it with Mita. If you're in HVAC, you're going to do it with Princess. I'm in HVAC. Let's pretend. So I click on for Princess. And then if you see here, Ms. Taylor says to do it for next week, not this week. So I'm going to go to the 9th. So starting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, pick a time, pick it now. There's a lot of students in this program. I'm not the only teacher that teaches this class. So hurry up, y'all. It's about 6, 7 classes of this. Probably more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, yeah, 7 classes of this. So hurry, pick your time now. I think my class is the earliest. So get your time now, slot now. Like I said, just pick a time. It doesn't mean that you physically have to go into the campus. They're going to call you and they're going to tell you how you're going to get it done. But get that time so you can turn it in. All you got to do is click on the times. Let's pretend it was me, 5:30. I would click on that time. I would put my student email in. Then I'm going to put in everything else. My phone number, my name, my academic program. And then I'm going to hit continue, right? And then it'll give me a receipt. You can copy and paste that receipt in the assignment if you want, or you can just put the 2 times. You guys got it? Everybody understand how to use the program? Simple stuff, right? Very good. All right, any questions on that? You guys can scroll down. ATA, Fort Myers, yours looks a little different. Y'all know to reach out to, I think it was, I don't know if Quinlan's back, but reach out to Career Services and they'll give you your time. All right? All right, ATA? Very good. All right, so everybody else is down here besides HEA. They have their own. All right. You stop this. We go back so we can get our question for today. All right, my friends. So that being said, here's our question for today. Here's what I want to know. I want you to name, because Miss Taylor got me thinking about myself, and I'm gonna have to promote myself. I got to think about myself like an entity. I'm providing a service. I ain't think about all this. I got to be successful. This is stressful. Yes, it is. All right. You are going to name one quality that sets you above the competition. Name one quality that you think is going to set you above the competition. Yeah, look to the left or right of you. Those are your competitors. Don't mean mug them. They're okay. I want you to what is one quality you think that sets you above the competition? And one quality, if you're being honest, that you think you need to improve on. One quality that sets you above the competition, and one quality that hey, you know what? This is a soft skill, and let me just go ahead and be honest with myself. Or maybe this is a technical skill, and quality doesn't have to be a skill. I'm just giving it as an example that I know I need to work on. Or maybe you do have a great quality about yourself. Maybe you can multitask very easy, or maybe you're like Miss Taylor, you absorb information well, or whatever the situation is. All right, one quality that sets you above the competition and one quality you feel you can improve on. Yes? All good? Any questions? Speak now, forever hold your peace. All right.